Back on the show is Sabah Fadai, and Sabah, we've been doing this way too often. I do like talking to you, but unfortunately, we're here for not the right reasons. You were supposed to fight yesterday against Marcus Brimage for the featherweight title for Z Promotion. That did not happen. The card was canceled. And my first question for you here, Sabah, is when did you start to notice there was issues with the event even taking place?
Well, actually, it all started like the week of, leading up to the fight. We still have no flight tickets. We don't know what's going on. My manager Pat was on it constantly, and I was messaging him back and forth. I was supposed to leave on Thursday, and and we ended up getting our flights on Thursday. So that was kind of a red flag, and I was talking to a bunch of my buddies from Calgary, like Jordan McKay and those guys, and they're like, "Yo, what's going on? We have friends out here who don't have flight tickets. We got guys out in like Andrew Buckland. He didn't have his flight ticket. Marcus Brimage was in Florida waiting for flight tickets, and everybody's waiting for flight tickets." And I'm thinking to myself, what what is happening? Like, flight tickets should have been taken care of like a week ago. That's usually how it works. And but I had my doubts there, of course, and so did everybody else. But he pulled through, and we ended up all getting our flight tickets, and so I was like, okay, well, he must have just been doing a shitload of stuff at the same time, and he was busy or whatnot, and so he ended up getting to it late. So we ended up flying out. My cornerman was here at my house for, I don't know, 6 hours waiting and waiting and waiting to get our flight tickets. So ended up getting the flight tickets. We flew to Calgary. We got there and we got to the hotel. Hotels were already reserved and whatnot, and everything seemed good. Um, and then the weigh-ins. And everything went well all the way up to the weigh-ins, right? Everything was as planned. I did everything I needed to do. I, stayed on a clean diet on Thursday, of course, and I did everything, man. I did everything, and we went to the weigh-ins. We went to the weigh-ins, and uh, everybody weighed in. Everybody weighed in, and there were 6 fights. They ended up having 6 fights on the card. Um, and right away, three fights got scrapped. 3 fights got scrapped because of MRI. So I talked to the Athletic Commission of Calgary, and this is after, of course, I talked to them. So Tom Fiddler, the jackass, the fucking loser, um, he um, he had known for a long time that certain athletes on the card, they require an MRI or a CT scan of their head, and in order to fight, because they've had unsanctioned bouts. And actually, to be honest, I was one of them, because in 2013 in Washington, I had no idea that I had an unsanctioned bout. So I had an unsanctioned bout in 2013, and they said you need an MRI for your head or a CT scan. Luckily, I had one from August, so I was fine. Because 3 days ago, 3 days, so it was probably on Tuesday last week that Mrs. Shirley, the athletic commissioner, she emailed me personally and said, "Hey, you need an MRI or a CT scan of your head." And I already had the write-up from the radiologist, so everything was fine. I photocopied it and I emailed it to them right away, so I was in the clear. Mind you, I should have known this about a couple of weeks ahead of time in case I needed an MRI of some sort. I could have figured something out. None of these guys knew. None of these athletes knew. So they come to the weigh-ins, or they come to Calgary on Thursday, and this guy has to send them to a clinic, right? A walk-in clinic, to get referrals from a doctor to get an MRI. So they get the referrals. Yeah, this is madness. They get referrals. Mind you, these guys all have to be focused on cutting weight, right? And we're all in shitty moods, of course, they're at a doctor's clinic trying to get an MRI referral. So they get it. Fiddler ends up paying for all the private MRI schedules or whatever they had to do sessions. So they ended up doing it. But they bring a disc. They get a disc, of course. So these guys are getting discs. And they're like, okay, cool, we're in the clear. So they take the disc and they give it to the athletic commission. This is the athletic commission. They're not fucking radiologists, And they're standing there, scratching their heads. They're like, buddy, we're not radiologists. We're the athletic commission. Like, you got to have these discs read by a radiologist before, give us a written copy of if their head is okay or not. And so, of course, they couldn't find a radiologist, so hence the reason why 3 of the fights got scrapped.
Mm-hmm. And sorry, just interrupt you there. Those fights, as far as what I heard, was Cody McKenzie's fight against Ryan Mahan, and it was either your teammate or a close friend of yours, Cheryl Chan, as well, right?
Yeah, Cheryl Chan, and there was one other fight. I don't know who, but actually the Cody McKenzie fight and the Ryan Mahan fight, it ended up getting scrapped the day of the fight, the morning of. By 8:30 in the morning, it got scrapped. So they were down to ended up 2 fights, right? Fight night, they ended up having only 2 fights on the card. Now I'm getting word from left, right, center. My friends and everybody's texting me. I'm trying to stay away from
keep your mind focused.
The news. Yeah, I'm trying to focus on cutting weight or the fight, right? I've already made weight and I'm trying to rehydrate and all this stuff. And but it's kind of hard to be like, hey man, what the hell is going on? Another red light. Check this out. Another red light should have been, I went up to Fiddler and I said, hey, I have a bunch of friends here tonight that want to come to the fights. I need 15 tickets. Without a hesitation, he gave me 15 front row, not front row, $70 tickets. Right? 15 of them. No promoter has ever done that. 15, what is that? 15 times 70, I don't know. That's $1,050 worth of freaking tickets that he just gave to me. And I said, I'm going to probably need a little bit more, which I actually did. I needed 10 more. And he's like, yeah, no problem. We'll get it for you. That's $2,000 worth of freaking tickets that he was going to give to me. That should have been like right away. Mind you, I'm just thinking about the fights. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like $2,000, no promoter does that, man. $2,000 is a hefty chunk of change. So anyways, 2 fights on the card. He ends up canceling the show, right?
Yep.
And I got on the phone with Mrs. Shirley, the athletic commissioner, and because I'm hearing from every source, right? And I just don't want to believe every source. So I called the commission and I said, Mrs. Shirley, I want to hear from you. Like, I need you to tell me what is happening. She says, look, we're willing to make this fight happen. Even with 2 fights on the card, we are ready to go. I have all the staff ready, like the doctors, the refs, the judges, everybody is ready to go. But this guy just canceled the show. It was him. And she's like, all I'm waiting for now is a written proof, a written statement that the card is canceled. Because how she found out was through his Facebook.
Yeah, he posted something on there. That's how I found out too. I'm not friends with him on Facebook, but someone had sent me the post and it said something like, oh, screw it, we're going to have to cancel the card or something like that. And he like point blank put it out there. And it was kind of like not even like a well-written message. It was just like, damn it, the card's canceled tonight. Stupid commission or something. I forget.
Yeah, he blamed it on the commission.
Yeah.
The commission is like, this guy knew weeks and weeks ahead of time that these athletes needed MRIs.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the commission. And I see a lot of posts online these days that the commission, they're Mrs. Shirley, bad, blah, blah, all this stuff about like bashing the commission. It's not the commission. It's not the commission. It's Z promotion. These guys should be shunned, like boycotted in every town they go to. They should not, especially Fiddler, he should not ever be allowed to set up a fight. Ever. This guy is the most unorganized individual I have ever met. And to top it off, after all of this, I'm thinking, okay, he's probably pissed off himself. I'm trying to get a little bit more positive, So I call him. And you can tell in his voice, in his tone of voice, he has zero care in the world. Like, he showed no sympathy whatsoever. Obviously he's not a fighter. To be honest with you, he looks nasty. The dude looks nasty. He looks like he's a victim of some sort of disease. Like, I'm telling you. And I'm thinking to myself, you son of a bitch, you have no idea what we all went through, what we sacrificed. Like, I've said it time and time again, like, I quit my job for this fight. I drove 400 kilometers a day to train. Like, so many things, like my diet, like cutting weight. I cut 30 pounds, man. He doesn't understand these things. The sacrifices that we put into making, and the fact that we did everything we were asked to do. We showed up, we trained, we promoted the event. We did everything we could have done to make this fight possible. And just the fact that he showed zero care was just a spit in my face. And I was just furious. I was furious. And oh, that's not even the icing on the cake.
I was gonna say, we're gonna talk about the hotels or what?
That's the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
So I wake up in the morning and we go have breakfast. And so I decided to stay a little bit longer in the restaurant. My lady and my brother and these my cornermen, they're like, okay, we're just gonna run up to the room, grab something, and then we'll head out real quick, and we're gonna go buy a bunch of stuff. Their key cards wouldn't work. The key cards wouldn't work to get to the room, like not even up to the elevator. So they went to the front desk to get their cards changed. This son of a bitch showed up early in the morning, right? And canceled his whole contract with the hotel. Canceled every like the next night. Like nobody else had another day of stay. Like Saturday night, we weren't able to sleep there. And then he booked it. Like got in, got out, and peace out.
Like the Hamburglar, he just took off.
He just took off.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And I'm thinking to myself, are you kidding me right now? Like, this guy did this? So, yeah, that happened.
Well, a couple things I wanted to ask you about first off, because pretty much everything you're saying is what I heard yesterday, and I was tweeting about it and just trying to get people more so aware of what's happening here, and hopefully to anyone out there who's listening, never to work with this guy again, because it's just despicable what he did to you, to the fighters, and just like you mentioned, the lack of care. But I want to go back to the weigh-ins. I heard that there was a fight at the weigh-ins. Is this true?
This is not what I heard. There was no fight at the weigh-ins. The fight between two of the female fighters got canceled for I don't know what reason. I don't think it was to do anything with the MRI or anything like that. It just got canceled. And the coaches ended up going to the same bar with their people.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And they got into it at the bar. Yeah, one punched the other one punched the other, and apparently it was a huge brawl or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, two of the coaches got into a scrap.
Just yeah, kind of icing on the cake of the whole situation. One other thing I wanted to ask you about, I don't know if you heard this at all too, but so along with you getting your fight booked late, I spoke with Marcus on Thursday because I just interviewed him on Sunday, and he told me that they had just told him, hey, look, you got 2 hours to make your flight, like no notice whatsoever. And on top of that, the flight he was supposed to take was going to give him an 8 hour layover somewhere else. So he's just saying like, I don't understand what they're doing here. You know, this is ridiculous. And then to make matters worse, I also heard that he was left at the airport for an hour when he got in there. No one picked him up. I don't know if you heard that at all, but that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So he had an 8 hour. Okay, Marcus ended up coming to my room. Um, when was it? Like Saturday after we found out all this madness had gone down.
Yeah.
The fight was canceled. He ended up coming to my room. We hung out, and and he's like, yeah, he explained to me he had an 8 hour layover. I think it was in Toronto, and he had made weight in Florida before his flight. Check, that's nuts. See,
Yeah.
this is dedication. This is dedication. This
Yeah.
guy's like, okay, well, I'm running late. Of course, I know I'm not gonna make it. So he made weight before he got even on the flight. So imagine 8 hours. Well, it was a six. Well, I think it's a 6.5 hour total flight,
Yeah.
and then he had an 8 hour layover. So like 14 hours, and this guy's dehydrated for 14 freaking hours. To
Yeah.
top it off, and he had another hour. He was stuck at the airport, and right before his flight landed at 5:30. The weigh-ins were at 5.
Yeah. I heard about that too.
Um, so my manager Pat, he's texting me. He's like, "Hey, bro, Marcus is stuck at the airport. What is the address to the hotel so he can take a cab?" Um, yeah, so we never got picked up or anything like that either. We took a taxi. We took a taxi back, and uh, and then what happened was, yeah, I ended up helping getting my opponent to the venue
Right.
to get weighed in. So,
That's a
anyways, I
first.
weigh in, I go home, I go hang out, I'm rehydrating and stuff like that, and they're all asking me to come back down because Marcus is down there. We want to do a square up, and I'm like, I don't have time for that stuff. I don't want to do it.
Good on
So
you.
I just stayed in my room. I stayed in my room, and I sent my corner man down. He looked, and um, yeah, he made weight like he said he would, and I made weight. And the only two fights that were actually going to go down was me and Marcus and Andrew Buckland and his opponent. Those are the two only fights that were going to happen.
Crazy stuff, man. Okay, a couple more questions for you. I also heard, and I don't know if this is true or not. I wanted to get your take on this. Did Tom also try and get you guys to pay for your hotel room the night before? I heard that as well.
The night before, the night after.
The night I think it was. I was told the night before where you guys had already stayed. He was trying to get you guys to pay for that. Is that not true?
No, no,
Okay.
no. He never did that. Um, but in all of our contracts, it says that if something happens, and we're we have to get our show money at least.
Yeah.
So we had all the fighters waiting downstairs in the lounge with all of our bags, luggage, and everything because we had no room to stay in, right? And I think it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We're waiting for this guy to show up. I'm on the phone with him sometimes, whenever he answers. And he's like, yeah, I'll be there in an hour. So I tell everybody, I'm like, yeah, he's going to be here in an hour. Next thing I'm talking to Don Andrews, and he's like, I ended up becoming some sort of a representative of him. He just got forced upon, really, and he didn't want anything to do with the poor guy. And he said, yeah, he'll be here around 3:30. So we're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. It ended up becoming like 5:30, 6 o'clock. So we waited for like 5 hours, 6 hours, some of us, waiting for this guy to come back because he promised he was going to come to the hotel and at least pay us our show money. And which reminds me, I gotta email Mrs. Shirley and tell her that he never ended up following up with that and actually honoring the contract and paying us our show money. Because I asked her, I said, I don't understand what the athletic commission is thinking dealing with a guy like this. And she says, we've never had to deal with this guy like that, ever. Um, they've never had to deal with him. So they don't know, right? Of course, and they're going to trust what he says. And so now when I'm going to email her and tell her the story, and she's going to obviously lose her shit and never deal with this guy ever again.
What about flights on the way home? Did you guys have to pay for that, or was that covered by the promotion?
We ended up having to pay ourselves to change our flight back home
Wow.
because we didn't really have a hotel room to stay in. We didn't.
Of
It was
course.
easier. It was easier to, um, you know, cancel or change our flights to the next day than get another $100 a night hotel room to save our flight for the next day. So we just changed our flights and came home early.
Wow, unbelievable, man. All right, well, simple question for you. What's next for you? Is there any plans to get something scheduled soon? I mean, you haven't fought in a while. It's really unfortunate what you guys have had to go through with this.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. I know I got to get a job now, I think, because I lost a lot of freaking money on this camp, and it is tough, but whatever, right? It happens. What's next? I don't know. Me and Marcus actually put up a little bit of a promotional video. It's gonna go up soon. I'll upload it, and it basically says, we're down to fight each other. Any promotion out here that wants to do it, we're willing. Whoever wants to do it, it's kind of like an auction.
Right.
Uh, Whoever wants to make it happen. I mean, it's a great fight,
It
right?
is. I mean, it's something we wanted to see. That's the most disappointing part about this, Sabah, is that this was one of the biggest fights of your career, and I think for Marcus as well, it's a great opportunity for him to fight, outside of the states, and again, stylistically, just a great matchup.
I think so too. I think it's a great fight, and he wants it. I want it. I know a lot of the promoters out there wants it, and whichever promotion considers themselves legit, and I know there's a lot of them out there. I'm going to mention BFL, XFFC. There's Hard Knocks. There's Unified. There's a lot of KOTC. There's a lot of promotions out there that would want this fight to happen. Uh, I doubt UFC wants this because they just released Marcus, unfortunately. You know what I mean? So, uh, yeah, we're ready to fight. So whoever wants this, let's do it.
Well, Sabah, I really appreciate you taking the time. I feel incredibly grateful that I'm your first interview since this whole thing went down, so I really appreciate it. Just let my audience know where they can find you on social media, and mention anything else you want to about you guys fighting, or anything at all you want to say. Floor is yours, man.
Well, just of course, like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all that stuff. I'll be posting up a bunch of new updates here and there, and I don't know what's next. I'm just chilling with my family for a little bit here, and I'm going to go back to the gym tomorrow and get back on the horse. Really, um, I don't know what's happening next. I know there's a bunch of fights coming up, and I'm in shape. I'm in great shape, and I'll be even in a better shape coming up in the next month. Yeah, man, I'm just super disappointed. I couldn't believe it, right?
Absolutely, worst thing I've ever seen. Any sort of promotion, any sort of thing that's happened. This is the worst I've seen by far, just with everything that's happened. So my heart's out to you guys, and like I said, I
Yeah.
really hope they end up paying you guys because man, it's just shady stuff, man, and it's stuff that shouldn't be happening.
It is. It's like this would have been my 17th pro fight, and I've never, ever, ever once had to deal with anything like this remotely. Nothing ever, and it is what it is, right? And I want everybody to know that the athletic commission had nothing to do with this. Don't blame it on the athletic commission. They were on top of it. They were nothing but respectful, and they were very organized. To be honest with you. They were on top of it all. It's just this Tom Filler guy who had his head stuck up his ass and didn't know what the hell was going on. And a guy like that should never ever be be dealing with things like this.